Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. We're gonna give everybody a couple seconds to get logged on before we get the show started today. It's a beautiful Sunday here in Alabama. It's hot, but it's a beautiful Sunday. Today's show is, I think it's gonna be an excellent show. One of my guests, I believe that they've had something come up. I hadn't been able to get in contact with them today, but nevertheless, we are going to make this thing work with an excellent topic and an excellent panelist. Um, and as always, I'll give everybody a quick rundown of how Convo with B Mac came about. Convo with B Mac came about 2026, about 4 years ago. I was going through a really tough time. I was going through a divorce, and I was just trying to just get a grasp on things, and I really didn't have a place for that. And I had really good friends around me, and one of my really good friends, she encouraged me to create this space. And 4 years later, here we are. Um, and I appreciate her for encouraging me to step out on faith and do this thing. And I hope that this has helped some people. Today, we're here and we're going to talk about who are you when nobody needs you. And this is directed at men, but I think everybody can benefit from this. This was inspired by podcast, not a podcast, but Kurt Franklin's Roundtable, where he was talking to some gentlemen, and he just asked everybody what makes them happy. And the first one or two people, you could just see initial pause, and that right there told me all I need to know. And I tell that story to say that same friend that encouraged me to do this podcast asked me that very question 4 years ago. And I had that very same pause because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what made me happy outside of being a father, grandfather, and my career. So that being said, we're gonna bring in our guest, our panelist, and I'll let him introduce himself, and we're gonna roll with it from there. All right, Dave.
What's going on now?
What's
Hello,
going on,
everyone.
brother? What's going on? I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you for answering the call.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I will allow you to introduce yourself and provide whatever information you want to provide to the good people before we get started.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is David Gomez. Uh, let's see how much I want to say. I'm an educator. That's what my chosen field, and I work with young people and young adults as well. So that's about as far as I'm going to
All right.
go. Okay.
All right. Appreciate you, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Now we've talked offline, and
I can also include, excuse me, I'm a father as well. Father of four beautiful daughters, twins who are 15. My oldest is 26 and my youngest is 14.
so
I have no issue sharing that. They are just wonderful.
all right. Well, at least you still got your hair from yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? You frozen. How do I respond? Uh, yes. Jesus. Someone can help me out. This is my first time doing this, and I'm trying to respond yes to the chat. B
All right,
Mac.
Dave, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How do I respond? They're saying, can you read this? I'm trying to respond yes on the chat feature, but
Okay.
I'm not seeing an icon or anything where I can respond yes directly.
Okay, let me see here. Yeah, because I got kicked out. I don't know what for whatever reason my service is terrible today. I don't know. I apologize to everybody that's there. Hopefully we won't have any more of these hiccups. But we're here now. No, long story short, let's get to the crux of it before we have any more hiccups and difficulties. I apologize.
I just wanted to make sure I apologize again. I'm just trying to make sure you type answers during the podcast.
No.
Or you just answer them out loud.
I'm just asking them out
loud. Okay. I just want to make sure. Thank you. I apologize.
No, you just ask them out loud. We don't type anything out. We just talk. All right. The topic of the day is who are you when nobody needs you? And based on what I talked about before, Leon, what's up, brother? Us as men especially, we're taught very early on in life to be providers and protectors. And unfortunately, we're never taught just how to be. So we focus on becoming fathers, husbands, supervisors, business owners, ministers, whatever that is. We're all those things. But I'm going to ask you this question. Who are you? Who is Dave?
The easiest answer is I began this way, and I'm not trying to promote an agenda, but I do love Jesus Christ. So I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God first.
Okay.
So I know who I am, and I know whose I am. You understand? Right. So you mentioned the question that was brought up on the Kirk Franklin roundtable,
right?
And as to what makes you happy, and I can answer that question. It's clear. What makes me happy is making or seeing other people happy. You know, and it took me many years, 5 decades to get to this point where I have the clarity of knowing really who I am and what I really enjoy.
Right.
And that passion has led me as far as my profession and working with young people with disabilities or, juveniles who are in trouble. I'm able to help bring that joy to situations that a lot of other people are uncomfortable working with. So from a career standpoint, I can tell this is what I was meant to do because I typically work with and have to embrace the have-nots.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a blessing to be able to do so. Now, this doesn't mean I'm perfect. Doesn't mean if you see me, you're gonna say, "Whoa, he doing this and that." I have a lot of growing to do. But as far as my passion and my mission in life, that is very, very clear.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate that. And long as we're here, we're gonna be growing and learning and ever evolving. And I ask you that, and I appreciate your answer. That's a well thought of answer. And what happened? Grandson came. So I apologize. But the one thing I heard consistently was, you describing a lot of, you get joy out of do in helping others, but at your core, what that
I couldn't hear you, sir.
I appreciate your answer, and a lot of
Yeah, I
those
heard
things
that part.
are
You said
those.
at my core,
But at your core, what without any external things, what makes Dave happy?
love,
Okay.
love. I mean, it's it was hard to embrace it because most of
Mm-hmm.
my life, up until like you mentioned, going through a divorce, up until
Mm-hmm.
going through a divorce, I kind of battled that part, and I had a really tough disposition, and
Mm-hmm.
wasn't I was kind to people who were kind to me, and
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of that divorce, I had to take a look in the mirror, and at 30, I was like about 36, 37 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I found myself in like needless conflicts and stare downs, macho, dumb stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
some other situations that weren't going really well. And I had to make a decision that what I was receiving from other people was what was a mirror of what I was giving off.
Right.
So I took a new summer school job that year in a new environment. Went to one of the other high schools, and when I worked, I actually took the time to smile daily, to
Right.
be the person who I really was on the inside, to let other people see it. But it's difficult as a man because in order
Mm-hmm.
to give this love, it increases your vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you kind of open yourself up for rejection, and that's tough.
Right.
So, but by the time I worked for a couple of weeks, I noticed new people who weren't accustomed to being around me, they received it really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a point where people were looking forward to speaking to me because I was helping bring joy into their lives.
Right.
And that joy I was bringing them was helping me to deal with the pain I was dealing with every day.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just amazing. I've been on that path since. Don't get me wrong, I have my ups and downs. I'm naturally aggressive, and I tell you how I feel, but I just have to learn and work towards being able to finish the job and love completely, and
Right.
not make it mandatory. If I can be consistent, I can draw people to me, but
Okay.
make it more about the individuals and not myself.
Right. Okay. Excellent answer, which is going to lead to what's next. As men or as boys, we learn to do before we learn to be, and that's a really, really big thing. Hold on, before I go into that, Leon says to piggyback on your question, can I ask? Can I ask a question? Can I find purpose that isn't dependent on being needed? I would strongly encourage every individual, man and woman, to find their purpose outside of being needed, and whatever that is. And sometimes helping others may be whatever it is, but you're not needed. But that's your purpose, is just to be there to help somebody else in some type, shape, form, fashion. That's what your calling is. But also finding purpose in, okay, I love music. So if you love to listen to music, compose music, write music, whatever that is, finding something that if is not dependent on someone else for you to feel whole.
Oh, that's a deep one. Our frat brother and good friend, brought that question to me. He said, "What do you do for you?" And if it's not, not bragging, I work a lot.
Right.
I work a lot. If I'm not working or in the gym, trying to live, how we try to keep ourselves right, take advantage of what we have. I like cars. That's one of the things I like, but it's really weird at this point in life. I can honestly say I don't have a hobby. Well, since I'm not running the streets doing the things I used to do.
Well, the cars are your hobby. And
they're my hobby, but they're my business as well because I sell cars.
No. But the thing of it is, it's your hobby, but it just happens to be your business too.
Okay.
Because you have a true passion for cars. Yeah. A car can ride down the street, and I know I can look at you and be like, "Hey, what was that?" And you can tell me the ins and outs of typically pretty much any vehicle and why you want it and why you don't. And so that's definitely, I think that would definitely consider as one of your passions. And
Okay.
so, as I was before I sidestep for a second, I was saying we learn to do before we learn to be, because as I said before, we're taught to perform, protect, provide, and produce. That's typically what all boys are taught, but we're rarely taught how to process our emotions. How to rest, how to take time to discover ourselves, figure out who we are. And we are subconsciously taught to build our identity on what we achieve. So we find ourselves in a place to where if we didn't accomplish this, we feel less than. And that's not the case. And because that started at a very early age, as we get older, we attach our value to what it is that we can do. And that in itself becomes very problematic. So I have a question here, Dave, and I'm gonna read it off.
Go ahead.
When did you first realize people appreciated what you could do for them more than who you were?
When I got divorced and went broke. Yeah. Let me put some clarity on here, without being overly, descriptive, whatever.
Right.
I take responsibility for this divorce. I'm
right.
not a victim at all.
Right,
this
right.
Poor decisions, poor leadership. This is about me. So I'm not claiming to be a victim. Sometimes you cry about the problems you caused.
Right.
But
facts.
At that point in time, as I was running and trading in my vehicles and finding a substantially smaller place to stay and unable to fund activities that other people enjoyed, that was when I realized that there was a clear separation between how people felt about me without the things as, compared with how they felt when I was kind of, how we say, setting it out.
Right. And I get that. Let's see. Eric says purpose is subjective, but the key to life is what makes us who we are is defined by what makes us. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm reading it all wrong. Let's see. But the key to life and what makes us who we are is defined by what makes us who we are to others. That's deep. That's deep. Appreciate that comment, Noop. And you're right. Purpose is subjective. It's that internal thing, but everybody's is different. And unfortunately, I think a lot of men, we get our purpose confused with who we are to people, and being there and showing up for people. And we tend to think sometimes that's our purpose. That is just one of the many hats that we wear as men.
Wow.
Dang it. All right, I lost y'all for a minute. You there, Dave?
I'm back. I'm looking right at you. Okay.
All right. But I think sometimes we get confused. And I said, I don't want people to think that I'm saying we shouldn't be providers, producers, protectors. And I'm not saying that. But I am encouraging men to figure out who they are.
Ask your question.
Take that moment. Take time to figure out. Huh?
Look at how it's aligned, though. Like you think about from our youth, we are not only celebrated based upon our provision, but the amount of celebration is usually determined by the amount or the excess or how amazing the provision is. I mean, I remember being young and they would talk about, Saul and David, right? And Saul was a warrior, mighty warrior first. And you remember what led to his jealousy was they were chanting, Saul killed his thousands, David killed his tens of thousands. All right.
All right. So
if I'm a hunter, right, I'm celebrating. I mean, you may go out and
Mm-hmm.
you know, back in the day, let's just say you someone went out and killed a wild turkey or something, but someone else who
Mm-hmm.
you know killed a deer and brought it home, it was more provided. You understand? So you're more celebrated.
Right.
So
Right.
our level of acceptance has always been aligned with how substantial our productivity is. So we kind of want
Right.
that what's it called? Affirmation, whatever the term is. Basically, when you continue to hear your name called, the roar of the crowd. I come
Right. Right.
through. Yeah, it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
separate that from who you are because it becomes
Right.
so important to you.
Right. Well, that's, and I say it's because we become conditioned that way,
Recognition, yeah.
and we're never allowed, or I won't say we're ever allowed, because once you become a man, and if you are put in place in spaces you're allowed, we're never taught to say, okay, well, let's take time to figure out who you are outside of this accomplishment, that game winning shot, or that you coming through providing, for your girls, like, hey, my daughter calls, she know I'm showing up. Who are you when nobody's looking? Who are you when you got the weight of the world on your shoulders? You see what I mean? We're never created in set in a space to where we don't feel like we have to have armor on. And then because of the way society has kind of moved, we feel guilty if we don't feel strong.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So a lot of this conversation, because this is going to be a 2-part series, this is just really peeling back some layers today, because we shouldn't feel guilty for saying, man, look, I ain't got it today. I just need a day, whether it's mental, physical, whatever. We shouldn't have to always feel like we have to be on. But because we're men, we feel like we got to be on.
All the time.
Let's see. Calvin says, I became a husband, father, and I feel like I'm always carrying responsibility of being wanted. How do you learn to take a break without feeling guilty or like you're letting your family down? Excellent question, Calvin. Understand that this is my personal view. Your family, they know that you got them. You're gonna always be there, but you communicate with your significant other. Hey, listen, sometimes I need a safe space, and you're gonna have to show and teach your significant other what your safe space looks like. Because your significant other will be there for you, but if they don't know what it looks like and know what you need, because you've been this tower stripped so long, they just expect you just to do. But sometimes we have to teach people what we need. The same way we teach people how to treat us, we have to teach people what we need, especially if we've not ever been vocal about that beforehand. So if I'm with someone, I have to say, hey, look, there are going to be certain days where I just don't have it. And I don't need you to, to save me, but I need you just to be like, just to give me that space to just kind of process if that's what I need, not where I need you to come, let me lay my head on your shoulder or whatever the case may be. But being transparent enough to just tell them what it is you need. It may be like, I just need to sit on the back and smoke me a cigar, and just that time just to kind of allow those emotions to flow. Dave, what you think?
I mean, I agree. This is communication, though.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we struggle with communication because that conversation that you're speaking of right there, internally, it can come across like almost admitting weakness. And we were talking. No, I'm not saying it does, but I'm just coming from a perception standpoint. So it's like everyone can have a bad day or a challenging day. I don't use the term bad days. I say only days that are more challenging than others. But it's still the same thing. It's like we really aren't even from our youth. We've been encouraged not to share those moments. They've been frowned upon. It's looked upon as being emotional, therefore weak. So we power through, and then until we break.
Well, and see, and
I do agree with what you're saying.
Well, and see, and that's where that's why I want to challenge. Like we power through until we reach a breaking point, and I want to challenge the thought process of you're weak if you're transparent with who you care for. I actually think it's the opposite, because it takes strength to allow someone close to you to know that, hey, this is what's going on. I'm sharing this with you, and regardless of how it's perceived or received, I'm strong enough to deal with that. But you're not strong just because you're hiding it. Anybody can hide something. Anybody can conceal it. And society has tricked us to think, oh, well, you're a man, you just suck it up, man. No, look, anybody can hide it. Anybody can conceal it. But can you look in the mirror first and foremost and say, hey, man, look, I ain't got it together. Just tell yourself that. And own up to it. And then that person that cares the most about you, be able to talk to them and let them know.
That's true.
That takes real strength.
I agree. What I was speaking of is in terms of these scenarios I may bring up are more about what is as opposed to what should be. That's not necessarily my feeling.
Right.
But it's just
no.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree. And which is why when you pointed that out, that's why I always like to make sure I jump right in and say, I know what is perceived or what the male culture says, but that's not out. Just because that's what's said, that doesn't mean that's what's true.
That's true. I agree.
Eric said the song "Superwoman" by Karen White speaks to this topic. He said just change the title to Superman, and he's right. It's yes, men we're supposed to show up for women, yes, but we're human beings as well, and oftentimes I think it's lost in that because we're men, we're not supposed to we're supposed to be machines.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be all right. And there's some data out there that talks about how you take older couples that have been married years, when they're in their 70s and 80s, typically the wife is in much better condition than the man. And the reason for that is that man has worked and he's internalized all that. Now, because he's internalized all that, his body's breaking down, deteriorating. He never was given that space to offload some of that emotional baggage. Now, he did what he's supposed to do as a man, providing and what have you, but he was never given a space to say, man, things are tough right now. And I don't have it figured out. I'm going to figure it out. But at this very moment, I don't have it figured out. And given that safe space for that. Because you show me a man that feels comfortable, just, saying I don't have it figured out. And I'm gonna say that he's in the minority. There are not a whole lot of men that feel comfortable saying that and still thinking that he's accepted as a quote unquote man.
That's definitely true.
Now I'm gonna sidestep that part for a minute. I'm gonna ask you this question.
Go ahead.
I want you to finish this sentence for me.
Go ahead.
I feel most valuable
when my children are successful, taken care of and provided for.
You see what you said there?
I know because you didn't go through these questions with me, so I know.
No, that's the whole point.
I know.
The point of it
I know.
is
Still the same thing.
because
Going right back to the same thing.
But that is how we've been reared.
Yeah.
You know, forget us. You know, look, we'll sacrifice it all to make you dead. No questions asked. And that still should be the case. But what I'm saying is, if I were to ask myself that same question, and hold on, I want to make sure I read it right. Hold on. What happened to my question? Hold on, Dave, because I want to make sure I read the same question.
Feel most satisfied or something?
Like, I feel most valuable when.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to tell you truthfully, and this is with me working on it. I don't really know.
Can you say valuable instead of most valuable? If you say if you say valuable,
I feel most valuable. I feel and remove the adjective. You feel valuable when, because I feel valuable or most valuable. However, when I'm able to be a blessing to others, whether it be my kids, my grandkids, some people I love, because I just feel like my part of my job is to help those I care about. No, but that still leaves us where we are.
I have a counterpoint to that, though.
Come on.
Okay, and Calvin, you're more than welcome, sir. Just hear me out. I'm not trying to make this a religious conversation, but I want you to understand that even evil people take care of their responsibilities. Some of the most selfish, self-centered, narcissistic people in the world are great parents. So the way I look at happiness as far as providing, I look at my role as a father as a role I signed up for. It's a responsibility. I enjoy it, but those children didn't ask to be here. So I don't pat myself on the back a lot for being a good dad. I see my children doing really well, but that's a blessing from above, the way I see it, right? And so I don't feel taller or bigger or stronger because I fulfill my responsibility, because that's my job. I also don't celebrate my children doing well in school. Now, I'll give them attention and say, hey, great job, keep it going. But like, I have a job to provide. Your job is to excel, because you know, you're not we're not giving away cookies for handling your business, because if that's the case, if you don't get a cookie, you'll stop. This is just a way of life. You understand? So
it's not incentivized.
There you go. So when you look at what you're saying, I think that as far as looking out and trying to be a really solid individual and finding joy in helping others, oftentimes come from the love you show to people who you gain nothing from. Yeah, you understand where I'm coming from? Because like we're saying, and I see it in other scenarios, not trying to get off topic. People, we want to choose who we are going to love and show kindness to. But if you help a friend or someone who's in a position to benefit you later on, that is still basically like a contract or an agreement, because it's not tainted, but it's conditional, because one way or another, you may be back down on that road. And I'm not saying don't do that, but if we're seeking to be really solid individuals, you seek to show love where it's most needed and where it's oftentimes void.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's, even if it can't be reciprocated, you're doing it just because that is just the right thing to do. Before we get too far gone, Leon says, and I think Leon was answering the question. He says, I'm working, someone depends on me, I'm creating something, I'm solving problems, people notice me, and I'm taking care of others. And I think that's the story of so many men. But this part of the conversation is to create just the thought in men, because I don't expect a lot of men to have that answer. But this is just to start. Let's start thinking about that. You know, when do we feel valuable? You know, outside of doing it for others. You know, just for ourselves, because it feels counterintuitive because we're selfless. Unless you're a narcissist, you know, or a really selfish individual, it feels really selfish for us to focus on us. It feels really selfish, and self-care is not selfish. And the interesting thing about that is, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be there for those that you care about. You know, so if we think about it from that standpoint, if we don't take time to recharge our battery, how can we show up for the people we love?
Right.
And nobody's saying, hey, you be like, all right, I'm taking 2 weeks off. I'll see y'all when I get back. Ain't nobody saying take that type of time. But, you know, developing your own thing to kind of help you pour back into your cup, because you spend so much time pouring out of yours.
It's difficult right now, though, because a lot of the activities that a lot of people, men, once enjoyed. Like, let's say when we were younger, we go play basketball. You know, of course, now at this point, your knees and your body is not cooperating the same level, right? A lot of the social activities, unfortunately, they're not as safe as they used to be. You know, you know, just because of the random foolery that we see. So it's if you're not careful, you'll put yourself in a position where you feel a little weaker while you're recharging because you isolated. And I'm just saying, depending on what you enjoy doing, you know.
Well, exactly. I think it's just important that, you know, when you're trying to figure out what it is to recharge your battery, it may be you may be say, man, look, give me an hour in the gym, how many days a week, and that's part of your recharge.
But it's still stressful because, you know, I have a lot of things at home, and you're still dealing with the personalities.
But see, no. Hear what I'm saying now, because it's going, you know, I hear that it's stressful, but that's you saying, I'm taking this time because this is something that I need for my well-being, not only for my physical health, but for my mental health. See what I mean? And we have to understand, we have to stop being, what's the word I'm looking for? We have to stop cheating ourselves to try to make sure we show up for others.
You know what I need from you? I need us to come together and come up with a hobby list. I know it sounds weird. I know it does. I know it sounds basic. This should be, but as a man, I don't even concentrate on things that I may enjoy because I'm so busy doing the things that I'm responsible for doing. So if we could come together and come up with a hobby list, I won't waste that extra period of time where I'm sitting around
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. I'm just being real with you because
no, I think
like a list where these are activities, you know, other than reels on Facebook or something like that. You understand what I'm coming from? Something other than gym, something fulfilling, but can be done maybe around others, but could be done by yourself. Either way, something that provides that fuel, because I don't even know what it is to think that way.
Well, I'm
being real. I don't.
And I get it. And here's another thing that I would tell you that a lot of us don't really think about. Not it being able to be around like-minded individuals. Sometimes it's just being able to talk in a group of men that think alike and be like, man, look, yeah, this is going on and this going. Being able to just to be transparent amongst that group, y'all talk for, you know, hour, or so, and therefore now you have the ability to say, okay, I was able to kind of release some of that built up stress of, hey man, work been really tripping. I don't want my wife to worry about it, my girl to worry about it. So I have this group of confidence that we're all kind of leaning on each other to help us push through. You see what I mean? So creating, a really good peer group is also another avenue. I think because I think it's really underrated because we've just been so focused on internalizing, and nobody wants to look weak in front of another man. Oh man, I don't want, you know, um, I'm probably in the minority because for the most part, unless you're really close to me, I really don't care. I don't care what people think these days.
That's a superpower.
you know,
superpower.
But that's because the age old, you know what I'm saying? They talked about Jesus, so they're gonna talk about me regardless of whether I get it all right or all wrong. So, but I do like those that I care about. I care about their opinion. No, it's not gonna make me change who I am, but I'm not. I don't want to let them down. I don't want to do stuff that's not to my standard, not their standard, but my standard.
I hear what you're saying, but I want you to think about this, B-Mac. Think about this. All right. We are tight. You are my brother, right?
Yes, sir.
How often do you really have an opportunity to speak with me?
To speak with you?
How often? Really, I mean, being real, how often? Maybe once a week. Unless
maybe once a week, once a week.
So think about this peer group you're talking about. What makes it difficult is the scheduling. And not saying we can't make. Maybe if we have an allotted time that's set up, and we're going to do this, and that would be wonderful. But outside of that, I look at your schedule and my schedule. I'm more likely to have a conversation with you if after you drive an hour out of town with your grandkid than I am for you to get on the phone, because that's how busy you and I are. So a lot of the times don't really align for us, especially when they're need. Now, if it's something that's really needed, you're going to drop what you're doing, but you never want to be in a position where you're always that person that people have to stop doing what they're doing to help you. You know what I mean? So maybe, like we said, with the hobby list, I know it sounds really juvenile, elementary, but it's still funny. And I appreciate you, Calvin, saying that's a great idea. But the hobby list, maybe more, like you say, these type meetings and a podcast, or just speaking with one another at a scheduled time so that you can mark it and know this is when we're going to refuel. And meeting with the guys has given me more strength, encouragement, and energy in my life outside of it than I had previously. You've seen that. So that might be something that we have to consider. I mean, everyone who's listening,
And like I said, it may not be one of those to where it's a meeting that you can do weekly. It may be every couple of weeks, but you have to be very intentional about trying to schedule and plan. But it has to start somewhere, because you think about most guys, they don't have that outlet at all. So it's all just it's just internalized. So if you don't meet every 3 weeks, and like, hey, and if it's a Zoom call, meet at in somebody's garage, or whatever, at the cigar bar, smoking a cigar and talking, whatever the case may be. But be intentional about being around positive people, because I think we can all attest to being around people that you say something positive, they got 3 negative things to say, and it just drains you. And I'm at a point, and this is just me personally, I don't really have a high tolerance for negative people, and they could be mean well, but if you're a negative person, I don't really have a lot of time for that.
In their defense, the people who are excessively negative or situationally negative, some people it's a lifestyle. Negativity is celebrated. It's what gets the most attention. And I've noticed that if you're around a person that's overly negative, if they share time with you, they're either going to come along with you
Mhm.
and begin to see, things differently, or either they may draw you to where they are. So I do understand where you're coming from. But if you look at it, we have far more things to be excited about than we have to complain about.
Right.
And having your help, I'll make this quick. Like with the young people I work with,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell this story. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, for a period of years, there was LeBron James and Steph Curry, the most popular people around. And you know how people cheer their
Mm-hmm.
name, right? Well, me working with students with moderate to severe disabilities, there were times I come to work and I would walk into the lunchroom and these babies would see me and they would just scream. It was like a superstar walked in and they would say, "Daddy here," or "Mr. Gomez, my daddy." And they run and give me this hug. And these babies, uh, based upon the disability situation they're in, a lot of them, they can't do the things that we take for granted.
Right.
I had a little kid named Alex. He stayed in a residential facility, and his parents wouldn't even come see him. And
Mm.
he would sit in that chair, and he would call me daddy, and he would see me, and he would just clap. He didn't have Downs. He had cerebral palsy. He had
Mm.
next to no movement. He was in a wheelchair, and this kid would just turn his head and smile, and I would have to take him sometime and change him, and I'd pick him up, and I'd make sure he was changed and so forth. And this is not a story about how good a person I am. This has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with that because I was doing my job.
Right.
But I know how I felt about it. He could feel that love.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just saying to myself, these kids love me so much, and they
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the 7 hours that I give them and how much
Mm-hmm.
it means to them. And I thought to myself, if these children, some of which can't turn their head, some of which can't see, some of which can't walk, move, or do anything, can be this happy, what is my excuse for being negative and complaining about so much?
Mm.
It'll make you look in the mirror. It will make you
Right.
look in the mirror because the people who have the least appreciate and love the most, but the ones who have the most, oftentimes we sit back and complain the most.
Right.
And that's what helped change me as far as that negativity go. I may go and we can have a moment, but we can't live there.
Right. Right.
We have no right to live there.
Agreed. I appreciate it because that was a very vivid picture that you painted there, and it brought home the fact that it's easy for us to get there in that space because life happens, but we don't have the right to live there, and because there are people that have far less, and we have way too much to be grateful for.
Yes.
To live in to say, okay, well, I'm just gonna live in Negativeville. Just because everything ain't going your way, that doesn't give you the right to ride here, draining the life out of folks. Be appreciative for the little bit you got. I used to say a lot of times there are people that wish they had my problems. And that's just a real thing. Whereas I may be like, man, my money is low. Some folk be like, man, I wish I had some money. I wish I had the money to pay my bills. You talking about your money low. I ain't even got the money to pay my bills. So we have to really be mindful of and appreciate what we have. Leon says, energy vampires. He avoids them like the plague. And I'm with you. And that's
I love that one.
Because you could, it's the type of people you walk into a place and you're in a good mood and it instantly just sucks the air out of the place. You're like, let me be where they at.
You know what makes it dangerous? They don't leave a scar. There's no pain upon impact. It's all internal. And your loyalty will make you feel like you have to take part in it if you're not careful.
And you're right. And I'll go one further. like even at work. There, my job is not the hardest job for me. We're not even gonna get into that. But
I'm on that.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, I have guys that I work with, and we there's certain things where we've got it really good, really good. But you hear them complaining, and I have to like, look, man, with any job, there's stuff that sucks. Mm-hmm. There's gonna be some stuff that nobody likes, and that's any job.
Yeah.
But take time to really see it for what it is and appreciate, because you may not like this about your job, but it could be this. You may not like this, but it could be this. So focus more on the gratitude side of things. At a point in time, I was doing meditation heavy, and I would do gratitude meditation, and that really helped me refocus and just see the world differently. Something didn't go my way, as opposed to just being really, really broken up about it, frustrated by it. Well, could have been worse. I'm appreciate that it happened this way and not that way. See what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree with you totally. I pray in the morning. I was watching a person speak about 4 things. A lady, she was saying 4 prayers you have in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It really has helped me streamline my thought process from my day's inception, right from the beginning. And the first thing is, like you mentioned, gratitude.
Right.
The prayer of I'm thankful for this opportunity. A lot of people didn't have it, and then it moved forward to in any, not in any particular order. Prayers for wisdom to make good decisions. Prayer for protection.
Right.
Christ's hand to be on you and protect you. And lastly, His peace. Peace. Because peace is yours, and it's an internal thing. And it's yours. Right. We just give it away. Right? So when you look at it from those standpoints, if we can start our days that way, that not only helps us as far as dealing with negativity, but it also helps us to probably put things in order. And that has helped. That has definitely helped me a lot. So hearing you say that, that's a reinforcement, to always be grateful, because things could be so much worse. I'm glad to be on a platform where I can discuss things that we deal with, because for so long, we as men, man, nobody trying to hear our problems. Man, you better get up and go get your sad self to work.
And you're right. This is I feel like this is all part of the growth and development in creating a space for men and women, because I include women in this, because being able to be included in these discussions, they get a chance to kind of understand how we function and think. So, because sometimes, and this is me personally, I think when men and women, there becomes a communication breakdown, and women being able to just to be in the room to hear and listen to what we're talking about. And this is not where we're trying to bash one side or the other, but we're just talking about our issue. Gives them some insight to their son, their brother, their boyfriend, their husband, and help them understand why they move in the manner they move. And say, okay, well, let me see how I can better be there for them. I can show up for them. And if they allow it, because you can only do so much. If that man's not in a space to allow you to show up in that manner, you can't do anything. And that's another story for another day. But we're approaching the end of the hour. We have technical difficulties. We covered most of what I wanted to cover for part 1. Part 2, we're gonna get a little deeper, and start talking about why, why we feel the way we feel when we don't, what I'm saying, when we don't have that person to be there for anymore. I'm letting the cat out the bag a little early. We gonna tear the scab off. We gonna tear the band-aid off the next episode. And it's gonna be a little uncomfortable. But I feel like a little discomfort now can be of a lot of help later. Because if we can have these tough conversations, and I'm not, and I put myself in that mix too. So anybody that watches the platform or has never watched it, I will share. I may be the host, but I'm not exempt. Let me just say that. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if I got to share more of me to help somebody else, so be it. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is here for, to help others along the way. With that being said, it is 6:59, and Dave, I am going to ask you to take us out with a prayer.
Okay.
If you don't mind, brother.
Okay. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for this opportunity to hopefully provide prayerfully with under your power, provide support and strength and an opportunity to express themselves for men out here and for ladies to also be able to become more aware of how we think and how we move. I want to thank you for the people who are attending now, the people who will watch later, and I really want to thank you for BMAC. He's a truly amazing man of God, a man who truly lives it rather than talking about it, and he's been a truly amazing friend to me, and I thank God for him. I ask that you help us to continue to grow, and we thank you for all that you've done for us. We have extreme gratitude and love in our hearts for you and for one another. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I appreciate you. Let's see. Read these few comments. Kevin says, bro, you right. I think he was caught up on something else we said. Selena says, thank you for providing this safe space, my brother. Thank you, gentlemen, for your transparency and honesty.
Appreciate you.
Leon says, good conversation, brothers. I'm definitely tuned into the next episode. I appreciate y'all. To everybody that tuned in tonight, thank you so very much. I appreciate the support. I know a lot of people say I do this for y'all, but God honest truth, this is why I do this. I do this for those that don't have the voice right now, and they're trying to find a voice. And so we're gonna keep, showing up and talking about these issues, and hopefully it helps one. Look for the next episode. I'm gonna look at the calendar, talk to Dave, see if he's willing to come back.
Whenever you need me, brother, I'm here.
And so look for the next episode in the next couple of weeks. And until then, God bless y'all and good night.